for having me.
I think that we both operate, I wear, love is light. I think we both operate from a place of seeing the dangers, but wanting to hope that there's more good than bad. But when I heard about what is happening in the name of your beautiful son, I questioned that. And I wonder if you could just tell us what's going on.
So since we last talked, we all have been reading I think, some information about pizzas being delivered to various judges. These pizzas were being delivered to judges' homes. And so that first line of intimidation is, we know where you live. Then it escalated. And it escalated to pizzas being delivered to judges' children's homes. And that was an escalation of these acts of intimidation. Well, just this week, I was contacted by a judge, and I was told that the second pizza that arrived at this judge's house, he had already received one before, the second pizza that arrived at this judge's house was sent by my son, Daniel Anderl. The name that they used on the pizza was Daniel Anderl, my baby boy, who we lost on July 19, 2020. And if it would have stopped there, it would have been bad enough, but it's not stopping, Nicole. Just last night, another pizza. There's 4 now. 4 pizzas that are being sent to judges as threats. And who's the sender? Daniel Anderl. Let me tell you why this is significant. You send a pizza to a judge's house, that's the message. I know where you live. You send a pizza to a judge's child's house. I know where your child lives. But now you're sending pizzas to a judge and their child with Daniel Anderl as the sender. And that says you want to end up like Judge Salas's child. You want to end up like Judge Salas. These escalating threats are a problem, and that's why I'm here today. I just found this out Tuesday night, and I found out the 4th pizza was attempted to be delivered yesterday at 7:47. And Mark and I cannot continue to sit back and not talk about accountability at this point. I've talked to you about this being a bonfire that has been burning for some time. Well, I feel now that this administration, that members of Congress are throwing accelerants on this bonfire. And it is now burning, soon to be out of control, and a wildfire is going to form. We have to tone down the rhetoric. We have to stop calling us rogue judges, calling us wanted. We have to stop impeaching judges for doing their jobs. We have to stop calling us corrupt and crazy leftist, unconstitutional judges. This language coming from leaders is creating the situation that we're having now. It is giving license for people to go out there and do us harm. And this is going to end up with someone losing their life. And so I come here really begging our leaders, begging people in power, begging people with large social platforms to be impeccable with their words. If you don't agree with our rulings, there is a constitutional framework that has worked for over 200 plus years. Appeal us. Take us to a higher court. But please, for the love of God, stop all this hatred and all this anger, because it is going to get someone killed.
It is such an abomination that you have to say what you just said. But I want to ask you, what constructively could the most powerful people in the country do in response?
I think what we all have to do is remember that we're Americans, that we love this country, that we love, the framework that has kept us strong for 200 plus years. And I think we have to get back to words matter, how we treat each other, it matters, how we react when we receive an unfavorable ruling by the court, that matters, because our leaders lead. And members of the public are going to look to see, how are they reacting? What are they saying? And depending on how they react and depending on what they're saying, that can guide the American public.
When Donald Trump pardoned all the insurrectionists, do you think he made the climate such that people on his side felt more emboldened to send pizzas to judges in the name of your son?
You know, I don't know what's happening, but I know that it's not. We have numbers now. There were over hundreds of pizzas sent to judges all over this country and their children now, right? We know that the numbers are getting so much more. I spoke to a CEO of a company that does cyber security for judges. They have seen a 300% increase in threats to judges since January. All right? The marshals are now tracking numbers that are going to beat past years. This is not getting better. So my wish is that we begin to be more civil to one another, that we begin to be professional with one another. We can still be advocates. People can still be advocates for their positions. But do we have to be advocates that, you know, name call, that mock people, that degrade people? Do we have to accuse people of being partisan when there's no proof that they're partisan? Do we have to accuse people of being corrupt? Do we have to say judges are corrupt if we don't agree with their opinion? You know, I just think that there's a way for all of us to start treating each other with dignity and respect. You know, my mother's mantra, I live by it. And I'm going to say it in Spanish. She said, tú no eres mejor que nadie.
You're not better than anyone.
Pero nadie es mejor que tú.
But no one's better than
But no one's better. Esther, you're not better than anyone. But no one's better than you. And I have lived that motto my entire life. And I think that if we can start realizing and treating each other as we would want people to treat us. You know, I just asked someone to think about what it was like for Mark and I to learn that our murdered child's name is being used for such hate when he was such love and is such love and such light. And you know, I mean, look at that face. And you know, that's the baby that I raised for 20 years. He was such a good son. And we spent so many good moments with our child. I lost 4. I had 4 miscarriages, 3 before Daniel and 1 after Daniel was born. He was my miracle baby, my karma baby. And I don't have him anymore. I just wish people realize and remember who he was. He spread love and he spread light and joy. And we're putting his name on threats to judicial officers. And we're tormenting those officers, those judges, and tormenting their children and tormenting their families. And for what? Why? Why can't we just come back to a place where we respect one another, where we love one another? We can agree to disagree. But I'm so afraid that this is burning now, and it's an inferno. And we're not trying to tamp it down. We're not. And if we continue in this trajectory, I fear for my colleagues and I fear for this country.
I have to sneak in one break. I want to ask you about your event. I'm going to ask you about your event today.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Please.
yeah. Okay. Me too. I'm going to gather myself.